Today I have for you Second Timothy 2:16. Good worker, one who does not need to be ashamed and who correctly explains the word of truth. Avoid worthless, foolish talk that only leads to more godless behavior. This kind of talk spreads like cancer, as in the case of Hymenaeus and Philetus. They have left the path of truth, claiming that the resurrection of the dead has already occurred. In this way, they have turned some people away from the faith, God's truth. But God's truth stands firm like a foundation stone with inscription. The Lord knows those who are his, and all who belong to the Lord must turn away from evil. Stay pure. In a wealthy home, some utensils are made of gold and silver, and some are made of wood and clay. The expensive utensils are used for special occasions, and the cheap ones are for everyday use. If you keep yourself pure, you will be a special utensil for honorable use. Your life will be clean, and you will be ready for the Master to use you for every good work. Run from anything that stimulates youthful lusts. Instead, pursue righteous living, faithfulness, love, and peace. Enjoy the companionship of those who call on the Lord with pure hearts. Patiently teach. Again, I say, don't get involved in foolish, ignorant arguments that only start fights. A servant of the Lord must not quarrel, but must be kind to everyone, be able to teach, and be patient with difficult people. Gently instruct those who oppose the truth. Perhaps God will change those people's hearts, and they will learn the truth. Then they will come to their senses and escape from the devil's trap, for they have been held captive by him to do whatever he wants. Charge in light of the last days. Understand the dangers of the last days. You should know this, Timothy, that in the last days there will be very difficult times for people who love only themselves and their money. They will be boastful and proud, scoffing at God, disobedient to their parents, and ungrateful. They will consider nothing sacred. They will be unloving and unforgiving. They will slander others and have no self control. They will be cruel and hate what is good. They will betray their friends, be reckless, be puffed up with pride, and love pleasure rather than God. They will act religious, but they will reject the power that could make them godly. Stay away from people like that. They are the kind who work their way into people's homes and win the confidence of vulnerable women who are burdened with the guilt of sin and controlled by various desires. Such women are forever following new teachings, but they are never able to understand the truth. These teachers oppose the truth, just as Janus and Jambres opposed Moses. They have depraved minds and a counterfeit faith, but they won't get away with this for long. Someday, everyone will recognize what fools they are, just as with Janus and Jambres. Remain faithful to what you know, but you, Timothy, certainly know that what I teach and how I live and what my purpose in life is. You know my faith, my patience, my love, my endurance. You know how much persecution and suffering I have endured. You know all about how I was persecuted in Antioch, Iconium, and Lystra. But the Lord rescued me from all of it. Yes, and everyone who wants to live a godly life in Christ Jesus will suffer persecution. But evil people and impostors will flourish. They will deceive others. and will themselves be deceived. The mantle of leadership. For Paul, the essence of good leadership was to provide an example that mirrored Christ's own example. The cross of Christ was central for Paul, and it had a total claim on his life. When he said, I want to suffer with him, sharing in his death, Philippians 3:10, Colossians 1:24, he was speaking of more than emotional turmoil or even dealing with sin. He meant suffering violently and bodily. Paul endured suffering for the sake of those to whom he proclaimed the good news, always putting their salvation before his own physical well-being. 2 Timothy 2:10, 2 Corinthians 4:8-12. Paul's life was a proclamation of Christ crucified, of God's power through Paul's weakness. 2 Corinthians 12, 8, 10, and of God's wisdom despite human foolishness. 1 Corinthians 1:18-31. As Paul summoned Timothy to take up the mantle of leadership, 2 Timothy 4, verse 1-5, he was also summoning Timothy to suffer with him, verse 8, 1, chapter 1-8, 2-3, and 4-5. Scorning the shame of the cross, scorning the shame of the cross, chapter 1, verse 8, 12, and 16. And the mantle of Christian leadership is the garb of servants who suffer for those they lead. Mark 10:35-45. If leadership does not orbit faithfully around Christ as its self-giving center, it ceases to be leadership in Christ and fails to understand the good news. But leadership that is modeled after Christ gains a reward at Christ's future coming, when those who have died with him will live with him, and those who endure hardship will reign with him. 2 Timothy 2:11-12. Pattern your lives after mine and learn from those who follow our example. Philippians 3:17. That was it for today. May you all have a blessed day. Peace be with you.